Hey everybody, Boris from Forex. Welcome to the weekly technicals for the commodity dollars for Aussie dollar, dollar CAD, and Kiwi dollar, March 12th to March 16th, 2018. And the story in the COM dollar land is essentially almost the same as it was last week. It's kind of like nothing is changing. They are stuck in these 100-point ranges for weeks on end, with the exception of the Canadian dollar, which has always been very idiosyncratic and certainly remains so this week, as all of this drama and tumult of tariffs, NAFTA, North American flow, and a million other things made it come some very interesting moves in the trade. And we do have perhaps even more event risk next week with Governor Polis's speech coming up midweek. Other than that, there's really nothing much around, and the COM dollars remain in some ways essentially foils to the majors on the crosses as potential trades. They are kind of islands of stability amidst the sea of chaos elsewhere. So what's going on as far as the levels? The levels have pretty much stayed the same. Aussie dollar, 79, maybe a little bit higher. The bid at 77 looks pretty good. CAD rejected the 30 level hard 3 times in a row. It looks to be a sell. It looks like it's made sort of a emotional exhaustion peak here at the 130, and certainly has scope to come back down towards 27, perhaps even 26 over the next week or so. And Kiwi, you might as well just go to sleep, because it really doesn't. The quotes on Kiwi change like once every decade at this point. Now I'm kidding, but it's kind of very, very quiet. Nothing really much going on over there. Status quo. I think the key thing is, of course, because Australia and New Zealand are status quo as far as economy, status quo as far as monetary policy, and changes happening elsewhere, and that's why they are kind of these islands of stability as far as movement. So you see very little volatility, at least so far, and very little news flow that kind of changes the volatility. On the calendar, very, very slow week. We do have the Kiwi GDP, which we're actually bullish, and we think is going to be better. So that could be an interesting trade, either both as an Aussie Kiwi or a Kiwi trade to the upside. And that's it. I got nothing else. I think, I have the Canadian, I have the Bank of Canada speech, which is not on our, not on this calendar, but Polis is going to be speaking, and that could be an interesting story, because if he sounds modestly dovish, maybe that will have a little bit more of an impact on the loonie. If he doesn't sound dovish at all, that should actually really help the loonie, because the assumption here is that the Bank of Canada is going to now slow down behind the Fed. But the economy in Canada was not that bad. We had decent payroll numbers today out of Canada. Unemployment rate continues to go down. And overall, the economy is far more resilient than I think everybody expected it to be. Now, looking at the charts, let's take a look at the charts here. And the Aussie is essentially the same kind of a story. Yes, kind of moving, but not really. Let me get rid of this little headline. And you see that sort of on a daily chart, it held this, 78 level for 3 or 4 days. The one thing I think that's sort of positive on the Aussie, if you're a bull, is that we have held the 77 double bottom at this point. So clearly, yes, we do have the support at 77. We're making slowly our way towards the resistance at 79, and that's pretty much, I think, where the story ends. The move in the Aussie to the upside will really be governed by some very strong anti-dollar moves. We'd have to have the yields in the U.S. come back down towards the 280 level, because really the trade at this point is the yield differential between U.S. and Australia in 2 years, and so far the dollar really is starting to pick up steam. If we go to 3% on the 10-year in the U.S., it's got to have some negative impact on the Aussie, and the Aussie should probably return back to the 70s. So very middle of the road, kind of a very quiet trade in the Australian dollar, with nothing on the event calendar to kind of make us think otherwise. Kiwi, same story, except even more boring and even more tighter. Look at these daily ranges. This is what pound does in 5 minutes. Kiwi does in about a day. It's been really, really quiet. 72 continues to be very hardcore support, but 73 is sort of resistance. Overall, what you're seeing sort of is these kind of compressions, because the market has nothing to do, right? There's no new information. There's nothing to kind of react to. And it's important at this time to just accept that fact and actually be very patient to look for signals, because when we do have kind of a breakout signal one way or the other, that likely is going to be quite meaningful and will have continuation flows behind it. So until we get those, it's just simply worthwhile to stand back and not do anything. Now, CAD, completely different story, because CAD really, yes, we did make fresh highs, but look at these fresh highs. 3 times is a charm of rejection. The 130 gets rejected 3 times. Big turn today. Relief of the fact that tariffs are going to exempt Canada. Relief, I guess, on the fact that NAFTA somehow is going to get guided. I mean, there is still this external chance that Trump could blow up NAFTA completely, but I think saner heads will prevail. There's, you know, going to war against our single best ally and our best trading partner is beyond the epitome of stupidity. So we'll have to see. Hopefully, somebody will walk him off the ledge. All of this resonating powerfully towards the loonie. I'm not catching a bid. Dollar CAD really has scope to 26, really 26.50, right? Before it finally finds support. So I really like this. To me, the start of the week screams sell dollar CAD because it's one of the cleanest signals we have for, you know, at least continuation to the 20 period, which is about 27. So there's still a scope here. I really like this trade, and it has a lot of fundamental catalysts that tip us into that direction. That's pretty much it for the COM dollars. It's really slow and boring in Aussie and Kiwi, and perhaps more strength in the loonie dollar CAD to the short side as we go forward to the week. Wish you guys the best of luck, the best of trading. Boris Lossberg over and out.